it's College Mom here. This video was going to be on things you can do to help pay for college, but instead it's just going to be on things you can do in high school to help pay for college when you get there, and then also on Merit Aid. The first thing we're going to go over are things you can do while they're still in high school or take advantage of to help save some money. First are going to be taking advantage of things like AP classes, dual credit classes, and an IB program. An AP class is an advanced placement class, and these are classes that are taught at an advanced level in high school. They take the class, and then at the end of the class, they take a test, and if they get a certain score on that test, then they get high school credit, and they also get some college credit at certain colleges. Now, the thing with an AP class is if they don't get a high enough score, they don't get the credit and you don't get a refund because you do have to pay for them to take this class. Now, there's also a dual credit, which is going to be in conjunction with a community college. And with these classes, they're actually considered a college student at that college when they take the class. So they're going to get high school credit and then they're going to get college credit. They do have to pay for the cost of that class and then also the book. But the thing about these classes is if they pass the class, then they will get credit for the college credit and the high school credit. It's not like the other one where they have to pass it and for some reason they don't get a high enough score, they don't get it. Of course, if they fail the class, they don't get credit for it. But if they pass, then they'll get the credit. Then there is an IB program, which is the International Baccalaureate Program. These aren't available at all schools because the school system does have to pay to be in this program, but it's a very rigorous program. It's done during the junior and senior year. And if they're in this program, they're gonna have to take IB classes. And you would want to know that they're gonna do this probably like in an 8th grade year because there's a lot of prerequisites that they probably will want to have so they're at that level to be able to handle the IB program. Another thing about IB programs is some schools, if a student graduates with an IB diploma, they have automatic scholarships for those students or automatic merit aid for those students that graduate with the IB program. Another thing to keep in mind is that not all schools will accept credit from dual credit or AP credit or IB credit. If it's like a super elite school, like Ivy League school, or an out-of-state school, or a school that's very hard to get into, sometimes they won't accept these credits, so you need to check and make sure. And also with the AP classes, it depends on the score for the school. So some schools will accept, say, a 3, and some schools you have to have a 4, so it just depends on that school. And also, if it is one of these classes and this student does go to an in-state school, then those schools will accept it. So it's going to be like a community college, all those credits transferred to in-state public schools, and this would be the same thing. Now, even though you do need to pay for these classes, they are going to be a lot cheaper to get done at the high school level than if you wait to the college level, because depending on how you do like an AB exam is usually, like in our school district, $150. A dual credit class like $200. When you get to the college level, classes can be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 for one class. So obviously it's going to be much cheaper to get it done at the high school level. Another thing about all these classes, it's going to have a huge impact on the GPA or the class rank, because these classes are going to be credited at a much higher level. So like an A would be a 4.0, but these classes, a lot of them, they can get like a 5.0 or even a 5.5, and it really helps boost that GPA. Keep in mind that there are waivers and discounts for these classes. You have to check with your school system. Kids that are on free and reduced lunches usually will get some kind of a waiver or a discount. And some school systems will actually give students these classes for free. So you have to check with your school district and find out if they are on free and reduced lunches. If they're not on free and reduced lunches, you might want to just check into free and reduced lunches and see if you qualify. The limits, especially if you've got like 4 or 5 people in your household, are actually pretty high. So I did put a chart in here, and you can check that out if you want to. Another thing about if you are on free and reduced lunches, I don't know that everyone knows, is you can get things like an SAT, ACT waiver, and you can also get waivers for college applications, but you need to talk to usually the counselor to get these waivers. But it can save a tremendous amount of money when you figure that SAT and ACTs are like $65 a piece, and college application fees can be anywhere $60, $70. You usually get like 4 college application fees and 2 SAT, ACT tests. If you're trying to get a class rank that's high and you've got a school that has a lot of IB, AP, and dual credit classes, and you're trying to compete with these other students, your student kind of has to take these classes if they want to rank high, because if they don't, then the highest they can get is going to be here, and all these other students are taking classes that can be up here. One of the best ways for a student to get college paid for is Merit Aid. Merit Aid is just going to be usually based on a GPA or class rank and an SAT or ACT score. The thing about Merit Aid is it's not competitive, so it's not like a scholarship. We have to compete against other people to try and get a scholarship. If you have Merit Aid and you have a certain score and a certain GPA or class rank, then you automatically get this Merit Aid. The thing about Merit Aid is good for all 4 years, or even if they're in a 5-year program, a lot of times it'll be for 5 years. So it's going to continue that whole time. They do have to maintain a certain GPA while they're in school, so if they're going to drop below that, they can lose their Merit Aid. But if for some reason a student has an off semester and they lose that Merit Aid, they can actually go to financial aid and try and get reinstated. Of course, they are going to have some extenuating circumstance, like they had a personal problem, a family issue that made their GPA drop. Now, as I mentioned, it's going to be GPA and class rank, and also SAT scores. SAT and or ACT scores. And this is another thing that you can take advantage at the high school level. A lot of schools will have an SAT prep class or SAT program. It's maybe a shortened program where they can study for the SAT. There's also online help for getting SAT and ACT study guides, and there's also apps that students can put on their phone, because they're on their phone all the time, so there's apps they can put on their phone to help that score. But these SAT and ACT scores can get you tremendous amounts of Merit Aid. Now, the way this Merit Aid works, like I said, if they have these certain scores, they get this money. So that's why good grades and good scores can equal a lot of money. If you've got a student, they're always worried about GPA and SAT scores to get into college, but it really is so important if you're looking at funds to help pay for college, because these grades and these SAT scores can have a huge impact on how much money they can get. So depending on how high these scores are, it's going to depend on how much money a school is going to give. Now, if it's in a very elite school, they probably aren't going to have Merit Aid. So like an Ivy League school, or like we've talked about Notre Dame before, because everybody's already at the top of the class. But most state schools are going to have Merit Aid to give out, and they're all going to be different. These are some charts that are going to give an example of how they come about how much Merit Aid a student is going to get. So it's kind of like a grid here, and it depends on what their GPA is and then what the different score is. So the higher the scores, the more aid. So in this chart, it's going to go anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, depending on how high the scores are. And then on this chart, it is going to go from anywhere from $10,000 to $21,000 of Merit Aid. And like I said, the thing about Merit Aid, it's not going to be based on financial need, and it's not going to be competitive. If they have the scores, then they will get the aid. Of course, like I also said, it depends on the school, so you need to check with the school. A lot of them will have a guideline that you can go ahead and put in scores in, and it's going to tell you how much Merit Aid they're going to get. Now, if you have a student that's really close, say their SAT score is like 20 points off to get them to the next level, that next level might be $2,000 more a year, and that's for 4 years. So that's $8,000. So you would obviously want to have them maybe take the SAT or the ACT over again and see if you can get them bumped up into the next level. Another thing, when you're looking at these scores, make sure that you are calculating on a 4.0 scale, because back in the day, 4.0 was what everybody used, but now that you have these AP classes, IB classes, dual credit classes, a lot of schools do it on a 5.0 scale. So if your student comes home and they're like, I've got a 3.7, and you're thinking, how'd you get that high of a score? You need to make sure that you're calculating on a 4.0 scale, because that's what the colleges are calculating it on. In the next video, we will talk about other ways to save on paying for college and other ways to pay for college. So be sure to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.